Alliance orcs are here, and so are Horde humans. New lore is crazy. Now with the faction divides gone and the lines blurred, I could totally picture this happening, to be completely honest. I don't think factions really matter anymore. These wouldn't be the first cross-faction races. We already have it with Pandaria, with Pandas. We have it with the Drakthir. We have it now. We're going to get it with the Earthen. So these, races that go both ways, I could see humans and orcs joining that. Let's see what Doran has to say.
So, suspiciously enough, Blizzard has been adding these no faction affiliated half humans, half elves, but at the same time with the new Draenei Heritage questline, they introduced a brand new race. This race is called Oshune. They're half orcs, half Draenei, and in practical terms, I mean, these guys are literally just orcish models with glowing eyes. The only difference is they just joined the Draenei, which are obviously a part of the Alliance. Even more interestingly, Blizzard confirmed a few weeks back that the new faction
I didn't play through this shit at all. If I get half orc, these guys actually look pretty cool. Holy crap. I had no idea that these guys were introduced. I knew half orc, half Draenei existed. I mean, that's what, what's her name was? Man, that female orc who, like, sided with the Alliance in the original, in the first war. She fought beside, Garona. Yes, Garona. She's a half orc. She didn't have a cool model like this, but she's a half orc, half Draenei.
A part of the Alliance. Even more interestingly, Blizzard confirmed a few weeks back that a new faction conflict is going to be happening soon, with very likely some big turning event happening in the War Within, which will be forcing a lot of races to take sides once again like it happened back in BFA. If this does happen, it is likely that these new humans and orcs will be joining the Horde or the Alliance as new playable allied races, especially seeing that they're already good to go, as it is with their current models. If you guys want to buy Total War, Elder Scrolls, or
now, how do I feel about it? That's the question.
With my Gamivo link. You can also get
all these crossover races have been, they've been fine. But when you talk about, like, who is the Alliance and who is the Horde, you really have that core trifecta, I feel like, on both sides. You really do. You got the Horde, right, with the Orcs, Tauren, and Trolls. Like, those are very core Horde races. And then on the Alliance side, I always felt like you had the humans, the dwarves, and the night elves. Actually, humans, gnomes, and dwarves are kind of more core. Maybe night elves, I guess. The high elves were really the core part, but they got taken away in Burning Crusade. But anyways, humans and orcs are at the top of that trifecta on both sides. Alliance, humans, orcs, Horde. Like, those are guaranteed. You know it when you see it, which side they're on. If you cross them over, there's definitely, like, that's the last straw. That's it. Really, truly, the factions are done. Because when you see a human on the Horde or an orc on the Alliance, that silhouette of an orc just instantly making you think of Horde is gone. So I don't know how I feel about that. But if it did happen, this whole orc Draenei, half orc, half Draenei shit, that's probably how it does happen.
It seems like Blizzard is ready to add anyone but the ogres that people have been requesting for years, but some recent developments have added the possibility of 2 new playable allied races. Now, I am aware I pretty much say this every time a new race even gets a small hint that it can be playable, but the reason this one is interesting is because barely any work would be required, and it would be like a super quick free bonus feature for Blizzard, which is obviously a significant criteria for them. Pretty much the main reason they haven't added...
It would take them no work, and if they did it as a piece of patch content, like, patch 11 point whatever, and then you make humans and orcs, that would be a extremely popular patch with very minimal work put into it. No doubt.
A lot of the other races is the amount of work it would require to add the player animations to make them work for the million armor pieces, the game, and the weapons. And because of that, we are in a situation where races are a part of the Horde or the Alliance, but they're not playable. So don't have the ogres, nor the Genu, nor the Hosen, nor the Forest Trolls, nor the Mach Natal or the Broken, even though they are actually a part of the faction. On the other hand, the 2 new playable races are literally the races we already have with some of the customizations, and those are the new Arathi half-elf, half-humans, and the Draenei orcs we had just discovered in the Draenei Heritage questline. some really contradictory developments have been going on if you guys have been following the game closely lately. Originally, Blizzard has been going crazy, like removing all the factions, saying things like the faction war will never happen again for the past few years. Cities were becoming neutral or half neutral. The new races we've been getting have all been neutral, and it really seemed like there was no point in even having the factions anymore. Like, who even cared about the Horde alliance? In fact, I personally speculated that all new races will be neutral and all the new cities will be neutral as well.
Yeah, I think that's right.
That changed and started changing.
I don't know if we'll see what he says here, but in the Midnight expansion, the revamp of Silvermoon, which is really a rebuild of Silvermoon, like they are completely rebuilding it from the ground up for the Midnight expansion. I highly doubt they're doing that, and it's just going to be a Horde city. It's going to be cross-faction. Uniting of the elves in Midnight and giving them access to Silvermoon is going to mean uniting of the factions as well, both of them being able to go to Silvermoon.
A few weeks back. You can check out my full video
I
on the
guarantee
upcoming
it.
faction conflict interview, but the gist of it is that something big happened at Blizzard behind the scenes a few weeks back. My guess is it involved Chris Metzen and the ongoing plan of bringing WoW back to its roots. Essentially, Blizzard hinted at the faction peace that has been ongoing since BFA will no longer be a thing. Horde and Alliance always come together and they always fall out. Apparently, some big event will very likely happen in the War Within, likely close to the end of the expansion,
return of Garrosh.
that will cause a new faction conflict. Now, people are worried this is the end of Kron's faction and that it will become obsolete, but essentially they said that individuals will stay friendly while the factions will be going to war.
They have been saying faction conflict will return, but a lot of people think it means that there's going to be this third faction, maybe a non-playable faction, but a third faction that arrives maybe via this Light Emperor that everyone's saying is on the other side of the world, the original guy who sent over the Halifal expedition, that this could create a third faction, and that faction, in fact, fights against the Horde and Alliance. That could be the faction war that they're hinting at.
So the point is, there is like a soft confirmation that the Horde versus Alliance is going to be a thing, and in Midnight, the factions are probably going to be a lot more relevant, which could obviously lead to some of these new allied races. Additionally, a pretty crazy thing happened with the Horde got the playable Earthen, which are, in all reality, just glorified dwarves, and if someone told you this a few years back, you would think this is like the most outlandish possible speculation.
Yeah, when they gave dwarves to the Horde, I was like, well, shit, they're giving a core Alliance race to the Horde. No doubt. And that does change things.
Like Horde,
it opens up the door to more.
Really. So this now leads us to the development from the War Within and the new Draenei Heritage questline. So the gist of it is we had just discovered a brand new race called the Oshunei, aka the People of Spirit. These are half orcs, half Draenei. Now,
I do like their colorway.
For a
Look
while,
pretty
you're
cool.
aware that these people have actually existed in the past. Most notable is Garona half Orkin, which is, as the name says, half orc, half Draenei. Now, her birth is essentially a consequence of war and the orcish aggression, but this guy we just discovered implies that his parents together would want to see this new festival if they were alive, which strongly hints this was an actual union. Now, dating back to Draenor, the orcs and the Draenei had coexisted on the planet for quite a long time. They were never really friends. The orcs were mainly weary of the Draenei and their ways.
Death Knight.
Helax, thank you so much.
Samiccus.
Thank you so much. 4 months in a row. Oh my god, Hia. Wow, thank you so much.
Traded and
appreciate that, Death Knight of our Scourge.
However, it is possible that an orcish clan could have existed that was much more connected to them. I mean, think of the Mokratol that are half orcs and half ogres. So, realistically, this lore in itself could solve the problem that this...
imagine we get like a Rexar playable race, a half ogre, half orc, before we get ogres. Ogres were supposed to be an original vanilla race, and they got pulled out of the game like last second in favor of trolls.
Just be one random guy, and there
talk about trolling.
Actually more people
That'd be
like
hilarious.
him, which has been the entire storyline of the Draenei Heritage, all the Draenei and their derivatives uniting together after they have finally defeated the Burning Legion. Now, the reason I'm talking about this as a playable race is because
that would be
this
cool,
dude is literally just an orc with glowing eyes. I mean, he's already ready to be
He looks really cool,
right
this
out
orc.
the box. It is possible that this might just be a placeholder for the Heritage questline as we just learned about these guys. Now, think about the logical consequences. If the new faction conflict arises, these orcs with glowing eyes, called half Draenei, are definitely definitely not going to be joining the Horde, seeing that the entire heritage was about uniting back with the Draenei, so the Alliance
Right.
would literally be getting this orcish version of the Draenei for the faction. However, here is why I find all this interesting and kind of connected. I've talked about this a few times, and at the moment it is a bit of a murky subject, but these are the Arathi humans, or the Arathi half-elves. I mean, check out my channel for a million videos on the details and everything we know about them,
Very
who they
cool
are, how
race.
they came here. However, these guys, though, consider themselves to be the Arathi Empire. You know, the old Arathi Empire that fell, and their Light Emperor is very likely the only rightful heir, and that is what he considered himself as. So this is the Arathi Empire that never fell. The Hellfall humans are just a small light expedition, in fact a half-failed expedition, but apparently, according to the new Alpha lore, the Emperor and the Empire is very powerful and very rich. In a conversation with Anduin, it was hinted that they wouldn't exactly look kindly upon the races of the Alliance or any of our races. One of the theories is that if they get back to the Eastern Kingdoms, they might discover that the Forsaken and the Vorgen are where their empire once was, and they would consider these as heathens. The only people that would be familiar would be the Stromgod and Qualtalas. Iskad in the
They'd probably love the Scarlet Crusade. They'd be all about that.
That these guys could potentially be a hostile faction and might be related to the Light Army that will be present in Midnight in the battle against the Void. So it would be possible that a faction of them splits and joins us, like the Hellfall humans, which are technically, right now, our allies. By the connection with Anduin, it does seem like really they would lean more towards the Alliance than they would towards the Horde. However, they also have elves, and some are actual full Quel'Thalas elves, so they might also want to join in with Quel'Thalas. With the new info, I don't think it is likely that...
Right, I think the mage, the one mage that survived the crash in Hallowfall, is in fact a full-blown high elf. Like, he is not a half-human, half-elf. Yeah, Blizzard chose the word Emperor for a reason. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Arathi humans would be
probably not the nicest guy.
In fact, I think it would seem like they would really be an enemy faction. However, it is definitely possible we could get like a Blood Elf, High Elf situation that we've had since the start of World of Warcraft, where they're present with both of the factions, and there's only like a small difference with their eyes, even though technically they weren't really playable with the Alliance. If the Light Emperor becomes the enemy, this could have huge implications for us. I mean, the Arathi are technically the original humans, but they're also elves affiliated with Horde Quel'Thalas.
Yeah, two of the major races.
Are insanely devoted to the Emperor and his light visions, which could literally be a narrow manipulation. If total conflict occurs, you can imagine there would be a huge split in their society as well. Allied Hellfall humans, some that might want to go back to their original homeland, and some that might feel more loyal to the elves, which are a part of the Horde.
The whole thing is, if this Light Emperor returns and he's all about the light and he's being led by a Naru, whatever it is, where the heck does the Alliance fall in terms of their current leader? Right? Turellian. Where does Turellian fall in all this? Because he is super devoted to the light, almost in a blind way. And I feel like he would like this Light Emperor dude. He'd probably think he was really cool and think he was right. And then we got to deal with him. Yeah, messy worldwide chaos. Cool. Yeah, probably.
This also relates to the Elven reunion that they have hinted at back in BlizzCon. The main reason I think it would be interesting is because of this really sudden appearance of the Orcs with the exact same timing that are essentially Alliance Draenei. I mean, the Orcs and the humans are essentially the two main basic races of the Warcraft franchise, and it is very suspicious that they just decided to add two derivatives of them that are not faction specific and are quite vague.
Yeah, I think they're hinting at.
Of course, on the other hand, they could just join in on the team of the races that have joined the faction but they're not playable, so these Oshune could just become the new Hosen or the Genu or even the Ogres. On the other hand, it is possible that the Arathi humans could join, but not really through a new whole like allied race. They might literally just become a customization option for the Cool Tyrants and the regular humans, as well as for the Blood Elves on the Horde side. So you could get the Cool Tyrants and the humans with elven ears, as well as Blood Elves with human ears. And
kind of like how the Void Elves can be customized to look like a High Elf.
You can say they are the new Arathi of the Light Emperor. This could be similar to how Orcs have different colors that could associate them with the various clans of Draenor. Seeing how similar they are in practical terms, this could also be a very likely outcome as well. Thank you for watching. Check out my video on the Light Emperor being evil by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on Roman mythology and the cult of Mithras. See you next time.
You know, Doran is the truth teller. He is the teller of truths, and I'm not going to lie, I was a bit skeptical when I clicked this video, thinking, you know, is this really going to happen? How would they do it? He laid out how they would do it, and this whole, that orc, Draenei, half-orc, half-Draenei model that they put into the game really convinced me that, yeah, they're probably going to do this. That's just the laying of the ground, and it's such an easy thing for them to do. It would literally require no work other than some recolors of their current skeletons, and then you just put them in a patch, and that would be like a mind-blowing event. Like, whoa, this patch is so hype, man. Orcs on the Alliance, humans on the Horde. Come on, that would be a big deal. It would draw headlines all across media and all that shit. It would be a big deal for sure, and require little to no work, which is really, yeah, that's an opportunity Blizzard doesn't let them pass by too often. A great video from Doran though.